Training comes in all types of forms. I mean, I chose martial arts as my vehicle to pursue exercise. But you get to a point of your life and you're reflecting on things that you've done in the past and whether or not they helped shape you or hurt you. As you get older, the more responsibilities you have or the things you see in life, you change your perspective and then now you're having to help others. I've always been focused on one aspect of this martial art. And at this point in my life, I decided to renew my objective.
Let's say I didn't catch him the first time. It doesn't matter, you still chase him.
It's one thing to start with a foundation. You're just listening to the teacher because you need to build your foundation, your baseline. And then you start to feel confident. You get to a point where now you could share it with others. It's an requirement of years of study to be able to share examples to students of all ages, all skill levels, all different styles. Which brings me to my point of seminars. I have to find a similar property that everybody can understand, and that way everyone is enjoying it rather than being restricted to one thing. If you can find something in common, then you go from there. And seminars could be quite challenging for a lot of the participants. They're there to learn, to improve. They may have been on a previous seminar and now they're trying to attain the next progressions. And a lot of them are not fighters. They want to understand what Jeet Kune is about, and they want to be able to utilize it in case they need to.
Going back to self-defense, it does put fear in you. Everything's happening all at the same time. But when you're training, try to relax. Clear your mind. Just let it go.
I was starting to develop an international community. Everything was going great. I had seminars lined up for 20, 21, and 22 until the world did not see this coming.
Fast-breaking developments in the coronavirus emergency in the U.S. and around the world. New Jersey today becoming the 6th state to close all non-essential businesses.
The virus is impacting air travel too, with the FAA issuing a brief ground stop at New York City and Philadelphia airports.
My plans were postponed, and the future was uncertain. Everyone was affected by this, not just me. But it gave everyone a chance to reflect on the most important pieces of their life. I grew up in the 80s, the residuals from the 70s, all the cultural stuff that was going through, especially martial arts and kung fu movies. Bruce Lee was on TV most of the time, so that's why a lot of people were inspired to take up martial arts. A lot of my friends were taking lessons. I was wanting lessons. All I could do is really go to the store and pick up magazines and read, try to learn the material. But my father knew that I was passionate about it, and he couldn't really connect with me because we both had cultural differences, and I was grown up differently anyways. He connected me with Martin, a kickboxer from Mexico, and his brothers were also fighters. They all ended up being champions at some point.
Martin, maestro. Mendoza. Maestro de Kung Fu. Karate. De Kung Fu.
My father knew that if anybody was going to straighten me out, it would be him. Martin had a different way of training people. So we did a lot of exercises, a lot of flexibility, a lot of push-ups. Most of it had to do with conditioning. If your conditioning was not up, you would not be able to withstand the power from the kicks. Martin taught with pain. And through pain came discipline and structure. I caught up to him later and asked him why most of the people left the class. He says, well, I started to inflict more pain on you guys so you guys would leave. He looked at me and said, including you. I go, well, I guess I never left. The fact that I was able to withstand that pain, I started building resilience from it, and it just shows that I don't quit.
You hear, it helps stimulate your response. You see.
Even with 3 years of waiting, Angela and I continued the plans for Italy. But I changed a few things.
He's losing this piece for speed.
Okay.
So tell him to slow down on this part and focus on this when he ends with power. I'm going to turn my hip this way.
With you, I found a system, a starting point, conditioning the body to be able to perform in such a way. Also, this part is important because, for example, in traditional martial arts, you have to learn their language.
Correct. You took martial arts at a young age as well. So
Yeah, and in Japanese martial arts,
Right.
I started when I was 9, Shito-ryu karate with a Japanese sensei. I started to look into Jeet Kune in Italy at the beginning of the 2000s. Were few guys teaching it. Let's say what they called Jeet Kune, but it was a beginning.
highlight of Italy is always Rome.
Yeah.
And I don't think people have experienced Milan very much, but I think Milan has its own entity, its own unique culture. I had fun just experiencing the people. I mean, and everybody has the same gestures, you know. What,
Yeah, some,
what is
yeah.
this, you know?
Yeah.
And I think, isn't this an
Yeah.
emoji that people use?
Yeah, it's an emoji, it's an Italian thing. There is a follow-up now also, no?
The follow-up is the point of who wants to learn and share some of these methods to help others grow in their line of work, you know. So if you're coaching, are you coaching to help people's needs?
Yeah.
You know, what need is that? Is it a Jeet Kune Do punch? I don't think, you know, calling Jeet Kune Do everything is not I don't think the main answer.
I'm rooting myself to go, and then I'm hitting for a lot of counterbalancing for power. This pulls back. If you don't have power behind what you're doing, none of it's going to work. And that goes for the case of timing. When you get into timing, then none of the tools will work. So you have to have a good foundation. I only train just enough information to allow you to feel self-control, self-awareness, self-ability, be able to balance your life, etc., escape out of these circumstances. And that's all I need for people to do. Okay, pick up the momentum. Okay, now you can get it to where it's back. All right, now it goes this way. Okay, you get the position. Okay, great, the angle's there. And you're arcing at the tail end, and back to this position.
The Tao can take you in a lot of different places. When I was reading the philosophy in it, it would help me through it. In fact, it felt like the author was speaking to me. I used it as a way for me to explore the avenues of my mind. It gave me a reference and guided me into technical aspects of fighting. But I didn't understand it completely. In fact, what I wanted to understand was the 5 ways of attack. And there were articles out there talking about Bruce Lee and his life and what they learned from him. But other articles started complimenting the Jeet Kune Do. And that's where Jerry came in. Jerry had quite the intellect. He was very serious about training you. When you showed up, he expected results, and what you put in would come out very exceptional. He wanted you to be the best version of yourself, to hit your maximum potential. I was young, so he focused on developing me in speed, power, agility, reaction time. These things is what I needed to get the job done. I didn't need all the other stuff. We would get there later. Finally, a guy that would be able to share the most important aspects of this book. Later, we practiced this exercise called Chi-Sao. And through Chi-Sao, I learned the 5 ways of attack. Chi-Sao has been a very controversial topic for many years. In fact, it's part of trapping, and when people say trapping doesn't work, they don't spend enough extensive time to understand it, or don't have a really good teacher to share what it is that will help them. There are components in there that will help you control a circumstance. It's a very helpful tool. It's good to understand what your body is capable of when someone connects to you. By that time, you should be hooking me with that other hand. So it's not going to work. What I teach is how I get your stimulus mind and body to feel what's happening tactile. We have a lot of variations to work with here. I don't want to slow time down either, because in practicality, speed's happening. Can Angelo trap me? I don't think so. If you're not controlling the opponent, nothing's going to work. And that's why you just have just enough time to hit. My hands are open. It's a matter of him taking that space. It's like, oh, now can you do it? No. So you have to realize that no matter what, somebody's always going to try to take the feet under you. Nothing's happening here with this hand yet. Maybe later. Okay. Okay. You change your tactics as an escape method. When you escape and attack at the same time, you relieve the pressure, you create the opening, and you create room to escape and be safe. Shannon, did you get it?
Yeah.
Telling we did everything in this stuff, right?
Yes, of course. It's such a pain in the ass for this movement.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, and a lot of times I
Remember
told them,
counterbalance in the beginning of the seminar? It's not here, it's here. Big difference. Okay? Big difference because it controls.
Good, everybody, thank you.
After day one was complete, I got the Italian treatment and I had a chance to discuss what my next projects were. Angelo also invited me to Rome and to enter in the Vatican to see beautiful architectural buildings and the design. The forces of good and evil. In relationship to martial arts, it doesn't indicate anything about it, but what it does indicate is you want to remove yourself from violent activity and also in doing harm to others. So if you're building your body to hurt someone, then that would go against the principles. On the other hand, if you are working towards an area to just self-preserve your own body and also help protect your loved ones, you could do that. There's a fine line between how far you can take it within those references. MMA fighters are conditioned to win, and they'll do whatever it takes to defeat the other opponent. Their mind is driven to harm someone. So you gotta be careful how far you take it because you can lose it. If you don't have the right characteristics, the right mindset, then you're going to find yourself in an avenue which pretty much can impact you negatively. People can take JKD in so many different avenues because the information in there is not set up for you to learn it from point A to point Z. There's a lot of philosophy in it, and you get to learn certain aspects, but you have to find what's significant to you in your life. I used to think that Jeet Kune was about speed. To intercept somebody, that I had to be faster than my opponent. What if I decided to slow the speed down to get you to analyze it differently? And you have to look at these as layers. To get to the interception, you have to have that support with a few attributes. Those attributes are then supported by the way you're guided and what type of framework you're using. You just have to realize, much like the motor that needs to be tested under load conditions, your body also needs to be tested under pressure. And is your software up to date, which is your mind?
I assume the other person is very, very good.
Okay.
Because I'm assuming they're going to always do the right thing.
And
I know what that right thing is. I was told when I started martial arts that you use your opponent's weaknesses against them. That's easy to understand, okay? You go up against an opponent, what are their weaknesses? You got half a second,
right,
maybe 2 seconds to figure it out.
Mm-hmm.
And that's kind of rough because now you know what their weaknesses are. You don't know what to do about it. Maybe you know.
All right.
No, I go the other way. Use your opponent's strengths against them. This sounds good. Yeah, use their opponent's strengths. But it doesn't say how. So all these philosophical things that I learned all these years, people didn't say how until I met Bruce Lee.
Mm-hmm.
And all of a sudden, he would get to the point where I started understanding how you can do this.
You said because of Bruce, that's how your thought process on everything, and not just because of Bruce, but an aspect.
It was because of Bruce, because Bruce didn't teach this.
Okay.
At least he didn't teach me, and I don't know if he ever taught anybody else. I've never seen it.
Mm-hmm.
But Bruce's notes, his information that I saw. I went to Jerry's house, and he gave me a copy of Bruce Lee's handwritten notes. That's what made all the difference. All of a sudden, looking at that and seeing what Bruce was doing, now it started making sense. Not that Bruce taught it.
Yeah.
But what you have to do is you have to go beyond all this. Like, no one has ever told me that you should use your opponent's strengths against them in this way. They say the words, but they don't say how to do it.
It takes a lot. That's what I'm saying. You know, what planted that seed from the very beginning?
I don't know. I don't know.
It's taken time for me to observe things in a different perspective and see it from 3 angles or 4 if I have to. But you give every, I don't know if it's a system or a component or drill, a chance to observe to see if it's going to be useful. And
if I found out there was going to be a decent seminar somewhere, something I was interested in, I would bring my students, all of them who wanted to go.
Right.
So I was never concerned about them seeing something else and liking it better than what I did. I didn't care. If they liked it better and they thought that that's what they should be doing, then that's what they should do. So I wasn't possessive of the students. I thought they should see everything, just like I wanted to.
Right.
I used to tell them, you know, if you go out and you study with you go see other martial arts, you find something that's really good, better than what we're doing, steal it, bring it back. You know, I joke about that, but the point is, if I wanted to go out and look at new things and I wanted to learn, why should I stop my students from doing that? And I also didn't believe in keeping secrets from my students.
Yeah. Because how would that improve you or yourself, right?
The better they are, the better I have to be.
Yeah. So you have to show them what you know and then try to
make them as good as they can possibly be, because then I have to be as good as I have as I can possibly be.
I'm trying to now get it from other sources, but different aspects of my life, but it's coming together.
Yeah, and you have to take what fits, not what fits me. And I was totally different when I was your age.
Yeah.
And it's always changed. It changes all the time.
Yeah.
If you've studied with an instructor for 10 years, let's say 10 years, and after 10 years, you're still doing exactly what the instructor told you, you haven't learned anything.
Yeah.
Do you want to do your instructor's martial arts, or do you want to do yours?
Right.
So if you're following your instructor all the time, you're doing your instructor.
Okay.
You have to switch and do you.
Sometimes we miss, we're not going to always hit the target. So if he changes it, it should be stable enough to do it. Ah, that was good. Because the two things should be happening at once, but it's just an ability. Only Octavio does that. Doesn't mean that everybody can do it. But if you can emulate it, do it. If you find another way, do it. The first way to do that is that you have to put his intention somewhere. There you go. That's his intention. That's his intention. There you go. That's why a lot of people struggled with this. I'm sliding, because I don't know when he's doing something else. He comes to me, right, or I can go, comes to me. Yeah, I'm always just, it doesn't make a difference. The thing is how do I protect myself on the return when I'm coming back? So it's like, that's a very strong strike. And can you imagine, I'm doing this, boom, yeah, it's the same reference. Once it's here, boom, that's gotta use. If we can apply that in here, it's much stronger. And so we then cut off most what can be learned. If you feel you want to explore, when you explore, then you fine tune it. But don't forget about the actual principles of clearing base and attack. Anytime you put that pressure. The way of the martial athlete requires us to not only hit, but we're going to be utilizing the right ligaments for explosive energy and power. So that way we're not tight with strength and muscle. We use the strength behind the momentum and the flexibility. You can develop the base, everything that I'm sharing like this. It just has some flexibility to it. It's taken me many years to get to where I am today. And chasing a legacy is not the way to go. I mean, I realized a lot of these things don't matter. And you don't have control of it. What reminded me of most of this was my father passing away. That was just another way of him letting me know to grow up. And my dad didn't have many choices, and I don't think he realized that he had any. But some of the last words he shared with me was that it was too late. Things were too late. I can't help but realize sometimes that I'm running out of time. Time is a gift.
Pain is nothing but a lesson that you learn from, but it isn't something you should be applying to your life. It's also an aspect that could control you if you try to escape from it. Now, if you deal with it and you work with it, and someone shows you how to do it, then you can move towards a purpose.
We're talking about the old concept of center line.
Yeah.
Now that we are training today, I'm understanding that center line is like a static principle. Okay, you have to protect your center line. Okay. how can I protect? I turn myself.
Yeah. It's good principles.
You are breaking my structure in a tree, in a round way.
Right.
From the sides, from the up,
Yeah.
down.
I've been told, you have it. You just need to find the keys. Am I confident? Yes. Do I know it? Yes. That's how I'm confident. What's to say that this isn't hitting you already? My knee is in, I'm going to deflect. Once I hit on this end, I'm going to pull. As I pull, I can hit, and that would be my first drill. And roll this, making it nice and easy. Move forward. If it's coming to you, you pull it that way. Probably not. We're not going to do that anymore, but you got to look at it from the standpoint somebody's hitting me low. They're going boom. Counterattacks, boom. All right, there you go. Stay there. Pull, hit. You have to, again, put your imagination. Okay, I want to go here, roll. Like, if it's somebody's doing this, my back goes. The Rubik's Cube has 6 sides. If you understand the function of it to get to the right pattern, then it's much easier for you to get there without taking the pieces apart. You can be the person that takes the pieces apart and put it back together, but it's going to take you longer. It's much more difficult to do it. But you'll end up with the same results on both sides.
This is a rule. This is a rule. You have to do this. You have to do. I don't like that at all. What I go by instead of rules are guidelines. Why in the United States do we drive on the right-hand side of the road instead of the left-hand side of the road? This is simple. We drive on the right-hand side of the road because if you drive on the left-hand side of the road, you're going to get a head-on collision. But that's a guideline. It's not a rule. The rule says you should stay on the right hand. But that's a guideline to me because if there's something in the road that's going to hurt me, a big boulder, a big pothole, I'll go to the other side.
Yeah, you have
So you break the rule. But that's what I'm saying. It's a guideline.
So you have to
understand. You have to understand the reason for the rule and the implications of breaking the rule. If the implication is worse following the rule than breaking the rule, then you break the rule.
Okay. You have to be flexible in circumstances. And playing black and white, doing that type of, it's just not going to get you anywhere because you're not considering other conditions.
Yeah, and you adapt.
Right. The legs. Yeah, careful too, because the harder I hit him, it's going to hurt him more.
Comunque facendo piano perché quanto più io vado forte, più io forte.
If he goes here and you hit, it's too late. Hit here. There. Hit. There. There. Straight leg. Try not to bend it. Straight. Long. More damage. If I can kick on the inside, it sweeps out. Okay. if I got his leg to go out, at least, now I got that. This can damage the inside of the socket. Be easy. This place is the Leonardo da Vinci's painting, and it resides in this church, yeah?
Yeah.
Okay, so this is considered the first chip.
This is not, that's not the first chip.
Well, it tastes like a fry, or what you in the U.S. is French fry, but it's in this shape. Burgers, fantastic. Look at that. I'm already biting into it. You can't get this back home in Portland.
No. That's it.
All right.
That's good. Ooh, it's so creamy.
The problem with a lot of wooden gummies is that they're just too stiff and they don't get that
and
feedback.
the only thing that you can broke, they are actually this one, so you
Right.
can change it. Maybe.
Yeah, if you kick it too hard or something, but yeah, it's. So we're trying to maintain that softness. That's why I'm saying let it go, let it go. Watch the elbow, let it go, relax. Concentration on those little levels to where it makes you effective in those ranges, and then when you're coaching other people, you bring them up in that same progression. As part of the chi sao is like, if we are here, that I'm occupying your mind, not, okay, 1, 2, no, it's, right? It's like, it's harder to like feel it, like, what the hell was that? Because, yeah, it's like I'm distracting you with both your arms, not just one side to hit you. So that's how I'm pulling it off. Because I recognize your committed attack, but you can't recognize it until someone fires at some point. So you train your mind and train your eyes to recognize the distance you might have, like, okay, this guy, size up somebody as quickly as possible within 3 seconds. Very difficult.
Is this connected also with the kind of philosophical way of thinking that you got in talking about seconds in this part? Like, okay, where could it be? Maybe you get it.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah, you'll get hit.
Because it's difficult.
Yeah, if you're always trying to think about winning,
Yeah.
no, recognize that you will get hit. I don't want to take it to the extreme, like recognize you'll die, like nobody wants to die, but recognize that something's going to happen. I don't like the how people say recognize you'll get cut, like if you're fighting a knife fighter. Like, why are you going to fight a knife fighter? No, don't. Like you're going to go in there and no. You know, if you're cornered, you have no choice. You're going to use all means of tools necessary, but don't fight a knife fighter. Don't fight a gun fighter. Don't fight an aggressive fighter. Don't fight a fighter at all. Just know that you need to give yourself space and on a danger level. You're in danger. You understand your opponent's an aggressor. Find that space, accommodate, leave. If you have no choice, like you're cornered, yes, you have to attack.
I'm not saying the way I see things is always right. It isn't.
Right.
But it moves me in a different direction. Right or wrong, I don't understand right or wrong in that sense. I think wrong is something that gets me hurt. And right is something that stops me from getting hurt. The way I look at it, is a system good? A good system should prevent you from getting in trouble. A great system would prevent you from even being in a situation where you can get in trouble.
Were there books or people that inspired you to think this way? Or how did you come about?
Well, everyone I've learned from was an inspiration. And it's interesting because I learned things, and you learn things that are absolutely true. I mean, they can prove it's absolutely true. And then farther down the line, you figure, well, it was only true there in that situation. And then, when I was doing initial martial arts, punching here,
Right.
you punch with these knuckles because they line up.
Right.
If you're punching here, you're going to break them.
Yeah.
They line up. This is the way to punch. And then, after learning a different system, here, now all of a sudden, these are the ones that line up, not this. So although this rule was correct in that situation, it wasn't correct for everything.
Mm-hmm. Right. Right. Some consolidation of a martial arts vehicle, the way Mr. Lee did it. You can see that, but it's not the only way. You know, people always assume that it's the only way or the best way. There's no best way. I've left that boat a long time ago. Well, there's people still on the boat. They don't know how to get off. Just simply because
Going back and forth to the river to understand.
Well, they're so emotionally attached to the boat because of its the image that it left behind. So they're so attached to it, they won't want to leave. I think the grand purpose was to help people discover that missing link, that missing component that they can see. You know how you see a shadow and you can't see past that shadow, but you shine a light and you finally see what's behind the shadow.
Yeah, in fact, I was so happy for this seminar also because it wasn't at all another Jeet Kune seminar in Italy. It was another thing. And I hope that the people that were there with you understood something about like it could have been a spark in their brain just to make them think and someday be able to leave also them the boat and go for their path.
Yeah, you can actually control in this factor. So I'm like, boom, you know, like I'm going right, I'm going in. Here you should be kicking my leg.
Life gives you so many curves, but regardless whether you lived through painful moments, you made mistakes, you made a decision and you thought you should have made another. All of these have lessons behind it. And if I can give anybody any advice, from the time you wake up to the time you sleep, those moments to choose utilizing love and compassion and support one another, because you want everyone to feel that ripple effect for more than a lifetime.
5, 6, 7, up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 2, 3, squeeze. 2, 3, and squeeze. 2, 3, and up. 2, 3, then up, squeeze. 2, 3, get back up. 5 is here. Okay. One more time, ready?
Technology now, I would understand. Yeah, it was like, it was the middle.
What you do is you always give your opponent the shorter weapon.